All right, Randy.
Yes, sir.
Randy, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I was born in Laverne, California. I grew up in LA County, and I did a little bit of growing up in San Bernardino County.
Tell me about your family growing up. You had mom and dad?
I had a mom, and my real dad left when I was 3. They separated, and then I was raised by my mom and my stepdad. So, and then I had 2 younger sisters and a little brother.
How would you describe your childhood?
It was cool. It was fairly good, you know. Except my mom struggled with a little bit of depression, you know. I don't know due to what, you know, but it kind of affected our relationship, you know. But other than that, it was a good childhood, you know. Everything was normal. Just had a stepdad, and that was the crazy part, you know.
Any rough spots in your childhood?
Yeah, there was a little bit of rough times, you know. My mom had tried to put me on medicine, like a lot of like medicines and stuff, like Ritalin and things like that when I was younger, just to kind of like keep me calm and stable.
Your ADHD?
Yeah, I'm ADHD. But that's like really all I've ever struggled with, you know. But she used to go in her room and sleep for like a couple weeks at a time, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she would like say, I can't handle anymore. You're too draining on me, you know.
You particularly?
Yeah, she would tell me I was way too draining and that she just needed to go in her room, and she would go in her room, shut the door for 2 weeks, and that'd be it. Me and my sisters would be left to fend for ourselves, you know what I mean? And we'd go in there and I'd cook them food and we'd watch Sesame Street, you know, and I'd try to, you know, be the best brother I could, you know. So I was real close with my sisters and my little brother.
Was it because of your ADHD that she had to hide out like that?
Maybe, yeah, because she tried to homeschool. She always tried to do too much, you know. I noticed that one thing she did was that she tried exerted herself. Like when I was homeschooled, she would do park groups, lesson plans, you know, then teach us, you know, and to teach 3 kids homeschooling is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, so.
You graduated high school?
Yeah, I did. I got my California high school proficiency exam in my junior year. I went to Provo, Utah. My mom, I got expelled and suspended from school for fighting.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because they sent me to school like twice, I think. Once in 7th grade and then once again in freshman year. And I got suspended and then I ended up getting expelled. So they sent me to like a boot camp. So it's kind of interesting place, you know.
Drugs are a part of your life?
I started smoking weed when I was 12, and then at 15 I did speed for the first time, and then it was just kind of like, you know, like experimenting with drugs, you know, up until I was about 18, and then it was pretty much full force.
What is your drug today?
I do fentanyl and a little bit of crystal meth, but I don't use much of it, you know.
Fentanyl is your main thing?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the Ritalin or the other psych drugs that you were taking when you were young kind of open the door for these harder drugs, street drugs?
Yeah, I mean, me being sober, I've had a lot of trauma in life, so, I mean, it's more of as an adult now, the traumatic experiences I've been through, like, emotionally and, like, you know, and experiences, like, I just don't, you know, some of them I just don't know how to reprocess or get closure on. So it's easier just to use, you know, and whenever the feelings come, and it just kind of numbs it, you know.
The events being like your mom hiding out or other things?
Yeah, you know, my mom hiding out, you know, like my stepdad when he would come home and my mom would be in the room and he wouldn't be able to get what he needed from her, you know, and they'd fight. He would take it out on me, you know, and not violently or physically, but he would just, you know what I mean, ignore me, you know, or kick me out, you know, or call the police on me, you know, for acting up. And so it was just like a vicious thing, you know.
Were you like the problem child in the family?
That's what they said, but I mean, nobody else had a problem with me, you know. It was just my mom.
Yeah.
My mom and me bumped heads a lot. She always used to tell me I'm too draining. Every time I would be around her, she'd be fine, like all up and happy, and then by the time we were done hanging out, she'd just be completely drained, and you know, I'd feel horrible, you know, like what's wrong? Like what did I do wrong, you know? But then she'd be, you know, in her room.
How old are you now, Randy?
I'm 39.
39.
Yes, sir.
You look young.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You've been on the streets for how long?
Almost 4 years now, man. I went through a divorce. I got out of prison for my second term when I was, 29, and
what were you in prison for?
First time I was in prison was for a robbery. We were collecting taxes and robbed a drug dealer, and he told, which is, you know what I mean, it's understandable. I messed up, but then I got out. I was on parole and I got caught with controlled substance, methamphetamine, and I got a parole violation and got sent back to prison for 3 years. So I did 3 years on that, and then when I got out, I haven't been back to prison since, and that was in 2015.
So I interrupted you. You got married?
Yeah, about a year after I got out of prison, I was married to a girl, and we had a kid about a year later after that, a little girl. And then we had a little boy not soon after that, and then that was 3 years into our relationship. And then we went and got a house, and then as soon as we got the house, within a year, our relationship just fizzled out. We were living up in Crestline, up above Lake Gregory.
Well, you were working?
I was a plumber. I'm a journeyman plumber. Yeah. But yeah, we were living up in Crestline above Lake Gregory, and just she just left, and our relationship fizzled out, and I ended up just relapsing. As soon as she left, I went right to the Connects pad, and got rigs and needles and heroin and crystal, and started slamming. So. But
Do you blame the drug use for why you're on the street now?
yeah, I do, because I was really heavy when she left me. She took the kids, and I had never established a really good relationship with any of my my first daughter. She's 21, and I was partying too much and out and about, and just I wasn't there for her mom. I was cheating on her mom, and it wasn't there for her as a dad, and so I didn't really connect. But with my second daughter, Maya, that was my best friend, She used to wait for me by the sliding door and shit, and be like, Papa, Papa, and as soon as I come home, she wouldn't let me put her down, So we were real close. And then my son was 18 months old, 10 months old, my wife left. So it was the first time in a relationship I never cheated on nobody,
All 3 kids are with the same mom?
Nah, 2 of them were with her. But yeah, it's crazy. Sorry. I don't talk about this very much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What's your biggest regret in your life?
Not getting sober when she first left, so I could have had some visitation and got to see my kids.
You think that would have straightened everything out?
Yeah, I think it would have changed a lot.
Was it because of the drugs that you guys split up, you think?
No, she just I was working a lot, doing plumbing, working heavy hours, with the kids and everything. She started drinking again. She was sober, was an alcoholic when I met her, and then she got sober, and then she relapsed. And then when she relapsed, I relapsed and she relapsed, kind of, and I was using meth, and so it was just I don't know, I never cheated on her or did anything like that, but I guess she met somebody because she felt like I wasn't ever going to be a good enough husband or something, and one morning we stopped sleeping in the same room, sleeping in the same bed, and then one morning she told me that she couldn't do this no more. She had to go, and she was taking the kids, and I needed to get myself together, and so I was like, all right, and that was that. She took my little girl, and I saw my little girl and my son once or twice after that, and that was it. I haven't seen him since. But
Are there things about this lifestyle that you enjoy, that you like?
I hate this lifestyle, to be honest. It doesn't. Right now, at the point where I'm at, it doesn't seem like there's really a way out. Even if I was to get an interview for a job, I feel like I probably wouldn't be able to get it just because of the circumstances. There's a lot.
Probably the face tattoos.
Yeah, face tattoos. There's a lot going on with me, with my family, on my real dad's side, and so it's one of those things that I just can't. It's hindered me, So it seems like something would be a blessing or something, but it's not.
You think losing your dad was the start of it all?
Probably, it had a big, factor in it. But then again, if he would have been there, I can't imagine how my life would be. He was a real, he's Mexican, pure paisa, and he's crazy. He was a crazy person. He was involved in just all sorts of stuff. But he wasn't a bad person. So.
Do you remember him? You were only 3 when he left.
Yeah, I remember him. I saw him again when I was 18, and when I was 16 and 8, I lived with him for a while, and I was 18. And I saw him again when I was like 21, and then, we were supposed to meet up a few years back, and he passed away. So, you know,
Tell me about the face tattoos.
my whole body's covered in tattoos. It was just up in prison, the thing to do, man. You're on your way to prison. It's one of the things that everybody wants to do is get tattooed. Go to prison and get tattooed,
Were you not thinking about the future?
At that point, no, I didn't care. My first prison term, I wanted to be all I could be in the politics and raise my hand, And then, once I got there and got involved in it, it was like, I left and just, I didn't keep pursuing it, It was just something that just left a bad taste in my mouth to see everything, riots and things like that. It's not cool,
What's the worst thing you saw in prison? Or did?
Man, I've seen people get hurt really bad, just shot with block guns, stabbed, like beat up, jumped, it's crazy shit, It's the whole suspense and like anxiety, like not knowing what's gonna happen.
How much time did you spend in prison?
I've done a total of like 6 or 7 years. 6 years in prison, and then that's not including jail time.
Yeah. Do you feel like that time being locked up changed you?
Yeah, I definitely. After my second prison term, I really don't do things to have to go back, to want to go back. Like I don't commit crimes anymore. It's just not something I know now. I think first and think I'm not trying to go back and spend time in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't do it for me.
How do you survive now? How do you make money?
I panhandle. I find items out in the trash, refurbish them. Like I have some stuff right there, that purse and binoculars. Just things like that, shoes, and just try to sell them, hustle them, for a couple bucks. Just pretty much that's how I survive,
Right.
I don't like to steal, so it's what I know that's what a lot of people do, but I don't. Not my get down. I'm just kind of coming on a different trip right now.
If you had your life to live all over again, what would you have done differently?
I probably would have waited a little bit longer to get married, and then I probably would have not relapsed. Tried harder I tried harder to stay off drugs.
Have you tried to get clean from fentanyl?
Yeah, I really don't use that much. I use less than like $5 a day. I can go days without it and not even have a problem. It's just like my, I don't know if you can see like my knee, the difference in them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I use it. I have a really bad left shoulder. So, like my shoulder has 2 titanium screws in it from 2010, and like
your
Teflon.
Your right leg looks swollen?
Yeah, my right leg's swollen, real swollen in the knee. It's always been like that, I have no cartilage, no tendons in it anymore on the inside, so it's just bone on bone, and it's bone spurs and everything. So every time I walk, and I love walking, so it just stays swollen. So that's why I tend to use. I just use. Like most people smoke and smoke and smoke. I'll take a hit every 3 or 4 hours.
Where do you sleep?
Pretty much wherever. I was sleeping up at MacArthur Park because there was a cool little circle of people up there, But then now that everything's kind of gotten changed and different, I've been just kind of wherever downtown. I'm just getting myself accustomed to downtown now, It's a different world down here, but it's cool. Like last night I slept in front of just some jewelry store, just put my backpack down and my blanket over me and passed out,
Do you miss your old life that maybe was more stable?
Yeah. I do. I think about it a lot,
Yeah.
Most people never, gotten to that plateau, but I had my own company, I had 2 cars, $30-something an hour job in the union as a journeyman plumber, I had my own house, and I just fucked it off.
Do you think there's any chance of you getting back to that kind of life?
Yeah, someday I think, I hope. It has to be, the future, has to be seen, that's all I can say is because there's a lot of stuff I wish I could, disclose or talk about, like, it had to do kind of from my real dad, that it just, I never knew, never, had any knowledge of, and when I found out, just like about his lifestyle and him, and the things that fell on were now looked upon to me, it got to be, it's just crazy. you know. Not something I would have chosen, you know, but it's really, there's not a way out of it for me, you know. It's insanity. So, you know, all I can do is try to do the best I can. And, you know, my mom told me, you know, if you don't know what to do the next right thing. So that's just kind of what I try to live by, you know.
Do you talk to your mom still?
No, I haven't talked to my mom in a long time. You know, she got real sick, and then from what I understand, she passed away. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but.
Do you have any friends?
I do. I have friends, you know, out here and stuff. You know, I really don't talk to any of my friends from childhood or growing up anymore. They all moved away, you know, kind of different lifestyles and stuff. But I have friends out here and stuff that I talk to and hang out with, you know.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I kind of tend to stay to myself, you know. Just easier that way, you know. I don't have to talk about things or feel things, and, you know. Just.
What are you afraid of? What do you worry about now?
Nothing, to be honest. I mean, you know, like, I worry about my little girl, you know, my little girls and my little boy, where they're at, and you know, their well-being, and you know what I mean, their souls and stuff like that. That's what I worry about. Other than that, there's really nothing. I've seen it all, you know.
Randy, one last question. What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
Pride comes before a fall, and there's always somebody bigger and badder than you, you know? So when you start to think you're the biggest and baddest person, that's when you get knocked off. And always, you know, just, you know, do the next right thing, you know? That's it, you know? Just trust your guts, you know? That's pretty much, you know, what I live by.
All right. Randy, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're very welcome, sir.
I wish you a lot of luck out here.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
When I was designing the first Soft White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.